I've read hundreds of books, and in this video I want to just share a little bit of my path and kind of how I got to where I am. So this video is all about me. Very selfish. So when I was around 18 years old, I had this, in a sense, calling to just read a lot of books, kind of like how when you're a kid and you just feel curious about something, so you just go and check it out. It's this spontaneously arising intrinsic motivation that you act upon: excitement, purpose, mastery, creativity, curiosity, a sense of fun. An intrinsic motivation. So I just kind of acted on it. And I didn't really know where it would take me. I didn't have a particular outcome or a fixed idea in my mind. I just started to do it. And I noticed I just started to feel very good doing it. I felt very healthy doing it. So I just kept doing it naturally because it gives me so much pleasure. It just feels so rewarding just by sitting there with it and just reading it. And that was when I was 18 years old. That was about 7 years ago. And this is one of the most important things that I've ever done for myself in my life. The only thing above that is meditation. But because I talk about meditation so much in my videos, I'm just going to focus on reading. So prior to reading a lot of books, I remember that I kind of had this idea of like, I know something. I know that I know anything whatsoever. But after actually reading a lot of books, it was just so apparent that I have no idea about anything. And this is just a very honest place to be. It's essentially that life is so complex and so mysterious and so absolutely magical that I can't even expect my human mind to be able to fully comprehend it. So in a sense, my sense-making skills radically increased. Not in the sense of like I just know more, like how we typically think of it, like you read books and you learn and then you know things. No. This was a huge increase in my just sense-making skills. This really was very foundational in helping me to self-actualize and just reach higher levels of consciousness. Because I read a bunch of books by people who were past my development. So I learned from dozens of people. I read books from very profound physicists, right? Erwin Schrödinger, Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, Max Planck, biologists, chemists, psychologists, tons of psychology, developmental psychology, spiral dynamics, ego development theory, Abraham Maslow, humanistic psychology, psychotherapists, spirituality, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Jainism, Judaism, Islam. Just really reading on like the masters of every single tradition that I could find, and reading a lot of just a wide amount of perspective, neuroscience, various philosophies, self-help, dating and relationships, career, business, diet, health, yoga, meditation, etc., New Age. Just really filling up my mind with such an abundance of information so that my mind could not be dogmatic. This is a very core thing that it really transformed for me. It's that my mind stopped clinging to any particular set of beliefs. I didn't have to fall into the category of being a science type or a religious type or a spiritual type or any one of these, essentially. My mind was just simply opened up. And this just really began to deepen my level of consciousness and to integrate a bunch of wisdom deeper and deeper and deeper into me. Especially as time went on, because this development happens over time. This helped me to really change so that I could develop big picture thinking skills. Because most people on the planet, unfortunately, don't have very good big picture thinking skills. Maybe about 5 to 7% of people are at the self-actualization level of development, and less than 1% are at the self-transcendence level. So big picture thinking skills really take off at self-actualization, where you're able to just let go of dogma and ideology and explore, just openly explore, kind of like how a kid would, with that level of excitement of just like seeing something for the first time and just being like, wow, having a sense of awe. It's funny because as you self-actualize and self-transcend, there's so much repressed childlike impulses that arise again, and they feel so free and organic and natural. So this habit of just absorbing a lot of information, I could get point of view after point of view after point of view, and I could see things that most people completely miss out on. Because most people, especially in our culture, were taught to kind of specialize in one thing. You're a carpenter, you're a biologist, you're a priest, and your mind gets stuck, essentially. Whereas I kind of just did the exact opposite. I just really began to open up to a lot so that I could properly form a larger picture of reality. Because I really firmly believe that you can't navigate reality in an effective way without high quality sense-making skills and big picture thinking. And even just moving beyond the mind entirely into self-transcendence. So this allowed me to make a lot of connections between various fields. This allowed me to make connections between what a lot of the quantum physicists were talking about, what a lot of mystics were talking about. This really began to open me up to a lot of higher consciousness or spiritual stuff, but not in a dogmatic way, in a way of just inquiring into direct experience and just enlightenment. And this was really just one of the core things that it just saved my life, really. I don't know where I would be if I didn't act upon my own intrinsic motivation. This allowed my mind to just really open. This allowed me to really connect to myself, to just sit totally undistracted and just to sit and just read. Because in our culture, and I mention this a lot in my videos, we're very disconnected from ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our own path. We don't trust our intrinsic motivation. We shame ourselves. We think our own impulses are bad. We repress ourselves habitually. And by spending a lot of time just doing the things out of my own intrinsic motivation, a lot of those very organic qualities, they could arise. Because to really reconnect with your inner child in the way that I'm talking about in this video, you need to really unplug from the distractions and the endless stimulation and I'll leave it at just endless distraction. You need to focus back on yourself, really just applying attention directly to yourself. Talk about meditation quite a lot. And the impulses begin to come up again. They begin to resurface rather than you habitually repressing them and struggling and fighting against yourself. Reading a lot of books allowed me to integrate a lot of wisdom and depth. This being a very core point, that I could read so many books by Ken Wilber, the Dalai Lama, or Buddhist sages, deeply enlightened Zen masters, people who have realized directly the nature of existence and teach it. I could read their books. Right? This blew my mind that for $15 on Amazon, I could order the teachings of Huang Po or the writings of Wu Xin or Sex, Ecology, Spirituality by Ken Wilber. Right? This was like a revelation to me when I really began to recognize how powerful this is. There was a lot of mental health benefits that came with this as well, and just a lot of good energy that came with this as well, because when you're giving your attention to something, there's an energy exchange happening. As you watch this video, I'm giving you my energy, right, and you're receiving it if you're giving me your attention. It's like this with everything, with the food you eat, with the people you interact with the work that you do. There's always a energy flow between what you give attention to, right, and yourself. So by giving books a lot of my attention, I can just absorb the energy of the authors and just the wisdom of it. There's a feeling to this that you can pick up on. It's also helped me to just really focus a lot better. This helped me to really build my ability to focus, because the first time I meditated, I couldn't even sit there for 30 seconds. I just got up in anger. And I knew I had to keep doing it. I was like, there's so much, this is just so essential. Right now I can sit for a very long time. So this habit of reading helped me to really build my focus, because if you want to have high quality sense making, you have to have a good focus. You need the ability to hone in on something and cut out distraction. This is a quality of anyone who has high quality sense making, which is needed more than ever in the world. So reading was something that I just did every single day, only because I loved it. The simplicity of it is what really matters here. Is I did it not to complete the book, not for an outcome in a sense. Although, yeah, I had the idea of who would I be after I read hundreds of books, right? And I still read every day. But it was done just out of love for the thing itself. It was done because a deeper part of me was just pulling me towards it over and over and over and over again. In a sense, it didn't really come from my ego. So this is a habit that you can install in your life. And this is more than just a habit. This is something that can just radically change your way of being. Because reading is, like I said, you getting energy from the author. You can, in a sense, interact with the energy of Albert Einstein or Wang Po or Ken Wilber or whoever. And as you continuously do this, it deepens into your psyche. You integrate it at deeper and deeper and deeper levels. And like I said at the beginning of this video, prior to reading, I had this idea that I knew anything whatsoever. And afterwards, I just realized that I know nothing. Right? There's that Socrates quote. Something like, all I know is that I know nothing. Because it's just the most honest place to actually be. That's why it's so wise. It's just that everything is so complex to the point where you don't understand any of it. And everything is also so simple to the point where you don't understand any of it. And that your mind and its ability to even make sense of reality through labels and symbolic representation is so finite and so limited that to really understand, you have to let go of understanding. To really know, you have to embrace not knowing. To really be certain, you have to embrace uncertainty. Very counterintuitive thing. This is a quality of self-actualized and self-transcended people at higher levels of conscious and self-actualization, this embrace of uncertainty and not knowing. It's super counterintuitive. By embracing not knowing, you begin to know. You realize the only, in a sense, knowable thing, which is just essentially just pure consciousness. So speaking on the entire topic of just being counterintuitive, reading really flipped a lot of things completely upside down. I remember reading a book on Buddhist wisdom and no self, and it just completely shattered my view of, like, you know, the one I took for assumption of that I'm here, there's a self here, and I'm reading this book, and then now I'm just questioning, like, why did I think that was true in the first place? And then really doing self-inquiry, Ramana Maharshi style self-inquiry. So a core thing to really notice here is that there's just so much that exists, and without intentionally exposing yourself to it, you just remain ignorant of it. Without going out and doing the meditation retreat or reading the hundreds of different perspectives, you just remain ignorant in it. Essentially, you just remain trapped because you just don't know. And this is one of the best things I did for myself in my late teenage years and my early 20s, was just exposing myself to more and more and more. Exposing myself to just lots of information, doing meditation retreats. I still expose myself to lots of information and do meditation retreats, and I'll never stop, really. But this was just so important. This allowed my mind to just radically change in a very unique way, and to just evolve fast, very fast. Right? I stumbled upon spiral dynamics, ego development theory, and I could see how culture evolves, how the mind evolves, and quickly I could understand this is like the path to evolving my consciousness. It's like, oh, I get it. Like developmental psychology, yeah. Stages of development. Okay, like I get it now. Right? I could get this roadmap of what it's kind of going to look like, a little bit of it. Right? And it was just really incredibly helpful. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to share my love of reading and how much it's helped me. It's literally all that I wanted to do here. Take it easy.